Download now.
Hello and welcome. You're watching News 9 Live with me, Neha Khanna. Let's get you all the top national and international stories that we're tracking at this hour. In downtown Buenos Aires, hundreds of supporters of Javier Milei filled the streets, echoing his anti-establishment mantra, "Out with all of them," amidst blaring rock music and celebratory honking. Argentina took a bold leap, electing the right-wing libertarian Milei as its new president on Sunday. Voters, fueled by frustration with the political status quo, handed him a decisive win as he secured 56% of the vote, surpassing his rivals just over 44%. Global leaders have been congratulating Javier Milei for his election victory. Many took to Twitter to congratulate him, from current and former Latin American presidents to many others. Wishes have been pouring in.
Hoy empezamos a dar vuelta a la página de nuestra historia y volvemos a retomar el camino que nunca deberíamos haber perdido. Hoy se termina el modelo empobrecedor del Estado omnipresente, que solo beneficia a algunos mientras la mayoría de los argentinos sufren. Hoy se termina la idea de que el Estado es un botín a repartirse entre los políticos y sus amigos. Hoy se termina esa visión de que los victimarios son las víctimas y las víctimas los victimarios. Hoy retomamos el camino que hizo grande este país. Hoy volvemos a abrazar las ideas de la libertad, las ideas de Alberdi. El modelo de la decadencia ha llegado a su fin. No hay vuelta atrás.
Now let's see how South Americans have voted of late. Argentina has elected, as we mentioned, far-right leader Javier Milei as its president. Previous elections have thrown pro-left governments out. For instance, in Brazil, Lula da Silva took to office in January 2023. Similarly, Colombia, Chile have also elected left-leaning governments. Australian Foreign Minister Penny Wong has arrived in India's capital to participate in the second India-Australia 2+2 Ministerial Dialogue, joining Australian Deputy Prime Minister and Defence Minister Richard Marles, who's already in India. Together, they will lead discussions alongside their Indian counterparts, External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar and Defence Minister Rajnath Singh. Expressing the significance of this relationship, Marles emphasised India's position as a top-tier security partner for Australia. He highlighted the comprehensive strategic partnership as a platform for practical actions that directly benefit the Indo-Pacific region. He pointed out several milestones in the India-Australia defence relationship this year, such as an Indian submarine's visit to Perth and Australia's hosting of Exercise Malabar. These events, according to the Australian Foreign Ministry, underscore the deepening closeness and collaboration in defence and security partnerships between the two countries. US Ambassador to India Eric Garcetti, speaking on the US-India 2+2 dialogue, said today the US and India are deepening their partnership in science and technology with an intention to work for the global good. He added that the US-India initiative on critical and emerging technology is moving at a breakneck speed. He also pointed out that important steps are being taken to strengthen the defense partnership. Some of the initiatives, like the US-India Industrial Cooperation, US-India Defence Acceleration Ecosystem, are speeding up the process, he said.
The United States and India are not just part of the conversation. We are a crucial driver of the conversation and of the solutions. Which brings me back to the 2+2. I would say, if I had to summarize it distinctly, most of the discussions really centered on peace. How do you build, sustain, establish peace in the world? And how can we have durable peace that the United States and India work on across the world in the face of new and existing threats. And by those threats, I don't just mean war. A peace that's threatened by health challenges, by climate challenges, by poverty, by perceived or real divisions between geography, north, south, east, west. And as the joint statement showed, as a lot of veterans, I welcomed, I think, the fourth former ambassador to India from the U.S. this weekend for an informal conversation in my house. And all four of them in the last 2 weeks as I've met them have said, we can't believe how much substance is are in the joint statements that are put forward. It's clear you're doing deep, serious, important work that isn't just about saying we will talk more, but we will do more. And I think the joint statement reflected that. Both countries resolved to promote a resilient, rules-based international order, to safeguard a free, open, inclusive Indo-Pacific through the Quad and other mechanisms. On global issues, the ministers discussed the tragic humanitarian consequences of the conflict in Ukraine and in the Middle East, reiterating their stance with Israel against terrorism, but also seeking to alleviate civilian suffering and adherence to international humanitarian law. We also made important steps forward in strengthening our major defense partnership, which continues to grow, increasing acceleration that we've seen through initiatives like the Roadmap for U.S.-India Industrial Cooperation, U.S.-India Defense Acceleration Ecosystem, so INDUS-X and IDEX, and expanded collaboration and cooperation in emerging domains, and also, more importantly, because we sometimes just focus on weapons and what's being sold or potentially co-developed, but the operational level of our militaries, which I think is as critical as any equipment. And our countries discussed ways to deepen our science and our technology partnerships, to harness technology for the global good instead of technology that harms us and divides us, technology that can connect us and protect us.
Japanese Marines in amphibious assault vehicles stormed an island beach at the edge of the East China Sea on Sunday. It was a simulated attack to dislodge invaders from territory that Tokyo worries is vulnerable to attacks from China. The goal was to show that if there is an emergency situation resulting from an attack against the country, Japan can maintain and improve joint operations in that scenario. General Yoshida, Chief of Staff of the Self-Defense Forces Joint Staff, was present to observe the drill. The scope and pace of military exercises in Japan are likely to increase over the next few years, including with U.S. forces after Prime Minister Fumio Kishida in December unveiled the country's biggest military build-up since World War II, with a pledge to double defense spending over 5 years. Let's now get you an update on the Rohingya refugee crisis, which is rippling down to Southeast Asia now. Indonesia's Aceh province received the fourth wave of Rohingya refugees, numbering around 500 on the 19th of November, according to the UNHCR. 1,000 Muslim Rohingya refugees who are originally from Myanmar have landed in Indonesia and reportedly overwhelmed local facilities. The UNHCR is waiting for the Indonesian government to make arrangements like providing bigger temporary shelters to accommodate the fresh arrivals.
We ensure the refugees are getting their basic needs, since they have been at sea for many days, more than 2 weeks probably, and ensure the medical needs, because they've been at sea and some may have been sick. Also, we ensure the security around this area.
Liberian President George Weah has conceded to opposition leader Joseph Boakai after a close presidential runoff. Boakai leads with nearly 51% of the votes. Weah calls for unity, acknowledging a divided nation.
Liberia's President George Weah conceded election defeat on Friday following a tight race for the presidency. And that means former Vice President Joseph Boakai is set to take the reins. In a second round of voting, Boakai was leading with 50.9% on Friday, with nearly all the ballots counted.
Votes obtained 814,212.
That's a stark contrast to the last election in 2017, when global soccer legend Weir, buoyed by a wave of hope, trounced Boakai in the second round with 62%. But many have grown disillusioned with Weir since then, due to a lack of progress on his promises to stamp out corruption and raise living standards. Boakai's supporters danced in the streets on Friday night.
I'm so glad today to tell Liberian people thank you very much.
Boakai does, however, now inherit major national challenges. Poverty levels are high in a country still recovering from 2 civil wars and the Ebola epidemic that killed thousands. Shortly after results were announced, Boakai said, "We have a job to do," but added that first and foremost, we want to have a message of peace and reconciliation. That message, in a once volatile country, was bolstered by Weir's concession. Speaking on the radio, he said that he had congratulated Boakai on his victory and that, "I urge you to follow my example and accept the results." Those comments stand out in Western Central Africa, a region that has seen 8 coups in 3 years and where elections are frequently contested in court amid accusations of fraud. Instead, the way has now been paved for Liberia's second democratic transfer of power in 7 decades, the first being when Weir swept to office 6 years ago.
SpaceX's Starship launch failed over the weekend, losing contact during the uncrewed mission. Elon Musk, SpaceX owner, plans to sue Media Matters for alleging false attacks, claiming a thermonuclear lawsuit. Here's the story.
The launch of SpaceX's uncrewed Starship was presumed to have failed on Saturday after contact with the uncrewed spacecraft was lost. But SpaceX's owner, Elon Musk, has vowed to launch something else on Monday, legal action against a liberal media watchdog. Musk announced on his social media platform X, formerly known as Twitter, that he would bring a thermonuclear lawsuit against Media Matters for America for what he called a fraudulent attack on his company. Media Matters has said it found corporate advertisements by IBM, Apple, Oracle and Comcast's Xfinity were being placed alongside anti-Semitic content. It's seen many other major brands, including Disney, pause advertising on the platform. Musk said in a statement that the watchdog had completely misrepresented the real experience on X and created and curated the posts to misinform advertisers and undermine freedom of speech. Media Matters did not immediately respond to an emailed request seeking comment outside of business hours. Advertisers have fled the site since Musk bought it last year and reduced content moderation, resulting in a sharp rise in hate speech, according to civil rights groups. Musk himself this week endorsed an anti-Semitic post on X that falsely claimed members of the Jewish community were stoking hatred against white people. White House spokesperson Andrew Bates on Friday condemned the endorsement of what it called a hideous anti-Semitic conspiracy theory and accused Musk of an abhorrent promotion of anti-Semitic and racist hate that runs against our core values as Americans.
Stage separation.
As for Saturday's launch, that was the second attempt to fly Starship mounted on its Tauri Super Heavy rocket booster. In April's attempt, the spacecraft exploded less than 4 minutes into the flight. About 10 minutes into the latest flight, a company broadcaster said SpaceX Mission Control had lost contact with the vehicle.
All right, let's now get you a complete lowdown on the Israel-Hamas war.
The following content may contain visuals that are disturbing, graphic, or sensitive in nature. Viewer discretion is advised. This material is intended for mature audiences and may not be suitable for all viewers. Please exercise caution while watching, and if you find such content distressing, we recommend discontinuing viewing. This disclaimer is provided to ensure awareness and to prioritize viewer well-being.
The war between Israel and Hamas has entered the 45th day. There is no end to the fighting in sight. Israel is now looking to expand its operations into southern Gaza, while a deal to release the hostages still seems far away. Let's take a look at all the top developments. Israel has released CCTV footage claiming hostages were taken to Al-Shifa hospital on the 7th of October, the day the Hamas terrorists carried out a massacre on Israeli soil, killing 1,200 Israeli nationals. The Israeli Defense Forces have claimed they've found a 55-meter-long tunnel under Al-Shifa hospital. Israel and Hamas may also be close to arriving at a hostage release deal. That's what reports suggest, though there is no confirmation as of now. Also, several premature babies have been evacuated from Al-Shifa hospital and will now be transferred to Egypt. Meanwhile, Yemen's Houthi rebels hijacked a cargo ship linked to Israel, and they say that they will continue to target Israel as long as this war continues. Meanwhile, US President Joe Biden has rejected mounting calls for a ceasefire in Gaza. Over 12,000 Palestinians have now been killed in the war over the last 6 weeks, according to the Gazan Health Ministry. On Sunday, Israel published a video claiming it had uncovered a tunnel shaft under the Al-Shifa hospital in northern Gaza. In a statement, the Israeli army said it found a 55-meter long and 10-meter deep tunnel under Gaza's largest medical facility, the Al-Shifa hospital. The army published this video on its official Telegram channel showing a soldier making his way into the tunnel. The footage was shot with 2 cameras on the 17th of November, according to the IDF. The video shows a staircase leading to an arched concrete passage that ends in what appears to be a door. The army says it's the entrance of the tunnel shaft with a blast-proof door and a firing hole. This type of door is used by Hamas terror organization to block Israeli forces from entering the command centers and the underground assets that belong to Hamas. That is what the Israeli military has said. The statement, however, did not mention what was beyond that door. The tunnel was found in the area of the hospital underneath a shed alongside a vehicle containing numerous weapons, including RPGs, explosives, Kalashnikov rifles. So these are visuals, shaft of the tunnel that the Israeli forces say they have found underneath Al-Shifa hospital. It's an argument that they had been making from the very beginning. Last week, when they first stormed Al-Shifa hospital, there was a lot of outrage, not just in Gaza, but across the world, with many accusing Israeli forces of targeting hospitals, which is forbidden under the international humanitarian law. This has also come in for sharp criticism from the United Nations and the World Health Organization. But these are the visuals that have been released by the Israeli forces to prove their claim that Al-Shifa has been used as a command and control center by Hamas terrorists all this while. On Sunday, the Israeli army released a video showing CCTV footage of what they claim were Hamas terrorists bringing in hostages from Israel into the Al-Shifa hospital on the 7th of October, the day when Hamas carried out the deadly attack on southern Israel. This video shows a group of men frog marching an individual into a hospital, while a second clip shows an injured man on a gurney.
Thank you. We've also gathered more intelligence from the hospital, proving that Noah Marziano was not the only hostage taken by Hamas into Shifa Hospital. I will now share concrete evidence of hostages. One from Nepal, one from Thailand, taken from Israel during the Hamas massacre on October 7th. The world must remember, Hamas is holding the elderly, men, women, children, babies, hostage. The Israel Defense Forces has a moral obligation to bring every one of our hostages home. We will not rest until we do. Hamas was hiding and murdering our hostages in Shifa Hospital. Hamas was building terror tunnels underneath Shifa Hospital. By now, the truth is clear. Hamas wages war from hospital, wages terror from hospitals.
Ongoing clashes persist in northern Gaza as Israeli forces and Hamas terrorists engage in a fierce battle. Israel's relentless aerial bombardment initiated in response to the Hamas massacre on the 7th of October has led to the occupation of significant territories in the north and west of Gaza City. Despite these advances, pockets of intense resistance from Hamas continue to pose challenges, particularly in heavily urbanized areas such as Gaza City, Jabalia and beach refugee camps.
Fighting raged on Sunday between Hamas militants and Israeli forces in parts of North Gaza. Israel has bombarded the area with a devastating aerial blitz since Hamas's October 7 attack. Its forces say they have taken control of large areas of the north and west around Gaza City. But guerrilla-style Hamas resistance remains fierce in pockets of a heavily urbanized area. That includes parts of Gaza City and the sprawling Jabalia and beach refugee camps. Witnesses reported heavy fighting overnight between Hamas gunmen and Israeli ground forces trying to advance in Jabalia. It is the largest of the enclave's camps with nearly 100,000 people, most of whom rejected Israeli appeals to evacuate to the south. There on Saturday, civil defense forces and civilians were digging through the rubble, searching for survivors of an Israeli strike. Due to a lack of equipment, they are forced to use their hands, said one ambulance worker.
As you can see, a military bombardment hit this place, making this huge crater. Now we're standing above the rubble, where 15 people are trapped. 3 bodies were pulled out, and we are currently searching for more.
Gaza's health ministry says Israel's constant bombardment has killed 12,300 people, including 5,000 children. That's after the Hamas cross-border rampage in which around 1,200 Israelis were killed and 240 taken hostage. On Saturday, the Washington Post reported that a tentative deal had been agreed for the release of dozens of women and children hostages in exchange for a 5-day pause in fighting. This was, however, later denied by Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and US officials. Nevertheless, on Sunday, Qatar's Prime Minister said the main sticking points blocking such a deal were very minor and mainly practical and logistical issues.
Yemen's Houthis claim to have seized an Israeli ship in the southern Red Sea and taken it to a Yemeni port. The announcement came from the group's military spokesperson Yahya Saria in a televised statement on Sunday. Israel previously said the Iran-aligned group had seized a British-owned and Japanese-operated cargo ship in the same area. A U.S. defense official said there was awareness of the situation, saying that they were closely monitoring it. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office clarified that a ship that was unnamed had been seized, but it had no Israeli connections or crew on board.
نفذت القوات البحرية في القوات المسلحة اليمنية بعون الله تعالى عملية عسكرية في البحر الأحمر كان من نتائجها الاستيلاء على سفينة إسرائيلية واجتيادها إلى الساحل اليمني. إن القوات المسلحة اليمنية تتعامل مع طاقم السفينة وفقا لتعاليم وقيم ديننا الإسلامي.
Ongoing clashes are persisting in northern Gaza, as we mentioned, and of course many areas there have been, in fact, captured by the Israelis. Meanwhile, the Houthi rebels in Yemen are making the situation more complicated for Israel. Let's now, in fact, get you some details from Qatar. Qatari Prime Minister Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdullah Rahman Al Thani has expressed optimism about a potential hostage deal between Israel and Hamas. He mentioned that the remaining challenges are very minor and primarily practical and logistical. The Washington Post reported a tentative agreement involving Israel, the US and Hamas to release women and children hostages in Gaza in exchange for a 5-day halt in fighting. However, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and US officials denied that there was an agreement.
One horror doesn't justify another horror. And the pain that you inflict to the children of others will not justify, will not compensate for the pain that your children have been suffering. But the contrary, it will create a violence spiral that will come once and again unless we got a peace, a sustainable peace. And that's why the European Union has called for immediate humanitarian pauses. And the United Nations Security Council, under the request of one member of the European Union, Malta, and with the support of France and Germany, members of the European Union, adopted a very important resolution asking for immediate, urgent and sustainable humanitarian pauses.
When you come closer to the goal, you feel your confidence levels are increasing, and we hope that we are reaching to that point. The sticking points, honestly, at this stage are more practical, logistical, not really something represent the core of the deal. The deal is going through ups and downs from time to time throughout the last few weeks. But I think that I'm now more confident that we are close enough to reach to a deal that can bring the people safely back to their homes, whether they are the hostages on Hamas side or whatever the exchange that will take place from the Israeli side.
Arab and Muslim leaders are turning to China to try and increase pressure on the United States and Israel to agree to a formal ceasefire in Gaza. The foreign ministers of Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Jordan, Indonesia and the Palestinian Authority, all key US allies or partners, are visiting Beijing today and tomorrow. Their objective is to build pressure on Western nations to stop the Israeli military operations in Gaza Strip and force renewed efforts to create an independent Palestinian state. Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi held a meeting with top foreign policy officials from the Palestinian Authority and 4 Muslim-majority countries as the conflict between Israel and Hamas intensifies. This development could serve as a glimpse into the potential future dynamics of the world order in the coming years and decades. Earlier this year, Beijing had caught the Biden administration off guard by effectively mediating normalization of relations between Saudi Arabia and Iran. In a major development in the tech world, Microsoft has now hired OpenAI co-founders Sam Altman and Greg Brockman to head a new advanced AI research team. As per the announcement that's been made by the company, the announcement was made by the software conglomerate's chief, Satya Nadella, on Twitter. Nadella is said to be leading negotiations between 2 factions in the company to bring Altman back as CEO. Altman earlier rejected the offer to be rehired at OpenAI. He was sacked just a couple of days earlier by the board of OpenAI.
He's out, but he could be back in, or not. It's complicated. There was mounting confusion over the weekend regarding the future of Sam Altman. He was ousted as boss of ChatGPT firm OpenAI on Friday, with the move sending shockwaves through the tech sector. The board of the chatbot maker said he was responsible for a breakdown of communications. But Altman was then spotted at company HQ in San Francisco on Sunday. That's according to tech publication The Information, which says he was invited back by interim CEO Mira Murati. Reuters reported that he was considering a swift return and big changes to the company's governance. Other reports said that could include a board seat for major OpenAI backer Microsoft. However, Altman was also said to be in talks over starting a new AI firm. Later the same day, The Information reported that he definitely would not come back, despite the apparent efforts by executives. It cited a statement by a board director. Instead, it says former Twitch boss Emmett Shear will become the new interim CEO. He co-founded the Amazon-owned video streaming service, but stepped down earlier this year. OpenAI did not respond to a Reuters request for comment on all the reports.
Let's now get you some domestic news. At least 41 workers are trapped inside a partially collapsed Silkyara tunnel in Uttarkashi district of Uttarakhand. The tunnel collapsed partially on the 12th of November. A US-made auger machine had been deployed to drill and push in pipes to save the developed snag, thereby halting the rescue process. Here are the latest developments on the rescue process. A 900 millimeter diameter pipe is being inserted through the auger machine. The rescue teams have pushed in a 6-inch wide tube up to 39 meters into the rubble. The government has decided on a 5-action plan to rescue the trapped workers. Drilling, however, remained suspended on Sunday. Experts have warned about the possibility of further collapse near the tunnel. More than 5 different agencies are on the ground working round the clock towards the rescue of the trapped workers. There is light and ample space inside the tunnel, and the workers are able to move about. That is what Union Minister Nitin Gadkari said. Multivitamins, antidepressants, dry fruits are being sent to the trapped men. After Union Minister Nitin Gadkari's on-site inspection at the Uttarkashi tunnel on Sunday, as we said, drilling remains suspended. The rescue teams continue to work simultaneously on different plans for the safe rescue of the workers in the collapsed tunnel. The rescue teams are preparing to restart the auger machine to bore through the rubble and insert large diameter steel pipes to prepare an escape route for the workers. The Road Transport and Highway Secretary Anurag Jain said on Sunday that the government had undertaken a 5-point action plan to rescue the workers trapped here. The rescue teams, as we said, have pushed in a 6-inch wide tube up to 39 meters, stretching into the rubble. Successful placement of the tube will ensure another route for sending food and water to the workers. Meanwhile, there is a strong chance of further collapse in the vicinity of the tunnel. That's the warning that's come from experts who are involved in the rescue operation. Subsequently, the pipe pushing activity was stopped a couple of days ago. In the ongoing rescue operation, at least 6 agencies are engaged on the ground. ONGC, RVNL, Sutlej Jal Vikas Nigam, BRO and State PWD, in addition to NHIDCL. These are the agencies that are carrying out the rescue work, having assumed different responsibilities to establish early access to the trapped workers. Along with food and water, multivitamins and depressants are being sent to the trapped workers at the under construction tunnel. The Union Minister Nitin Gadkari told reporters that the communication line with the workers is on. As 41 workers remain trapped inside this tunnel, the centre has said it has finalised a 5-point action plan. Let's take a look at the alternatives that are being discussed. Sutlej Jal Vidyut Nigam is doing the vertical drilling from the top of the tunnel to rescue the trapped labourers. Rail Vikas Nigam Limited has commenced work on another vertical pipeline for the supply of essential items after the completion of an approach road by the BRO in a single day. The Oil and Natural Gas Corporation, having expertise in deep drilling, has begun the initial work for vertical drilling from the Barcode end. The National Highways and Infrastructure Development Corporation will continue to drill from Silkyara end after working on the safety arrangements. The Tehri Hydro Development Corporation will work on micro-tunneling from Barcode, for which heavy machinery has been mobilized. Prime Minister Narendra Modi spoke with the Uttarakhand Chief Minister Pushkar Singh Dhami on the phone to assess the ongoing rescue operations. The Prime Minister has given an assurance to the Chief Minister that all necessary rescue equipment and resources are being provided by the centre through mutual coordination between central and state agencies. He expressed the hope for the safe evacuation of the trapped workers and emphasized the importance of maintaining their morale. Dhami, the Chief Minister, provided a detailed briefing to the Prime Minister on the ongoing rescue efforts, saying that all efforts are being made to rescue the workers. There is a constant supply of oxygen, food and water.
President of the International Tunnelling and Underground Space Association, and all of our members all around the world are supporting here. I'm supporting here. We're going to get those men out. What I've seen, seriously, what I've seen, there are great works being done. This is going to happen, and look, we're on it, and that's what we're here. And there's a whole team of us here, and we're going to find a solution, and we're going to get them out.
And what's your observation, sir? You visited just inside of tunnel.
Yeah, even since yesterday, a lot of work has been done. And it's really important that not only are the men rescued, but also the men that are rescuing are safe.
And you are going to top height of tunnel, sir?
Yeah, going there now to have a look. Yeah.
So how many members along with you?
So we have, oh gosh, I can't even estimate. We've got people, the whole world is assisting.
You are discussing with the government of India?
Yes, the whole world is helping, and the team here are fantastic, absolutely fantastic. The real experts on this geology here are here. They're here in the Himalayas.
Rescue operation will be a start from?
I can't comment on the rescue operation. All I can tell you is the plans are looking fantastic.
So what is the situation inside of tunnel?
Tunnel's good. Yeah, tunnel's good. The work's going on, and it's very systematic. The men are all doing a fantastic job. I've seen where the food and the medication and the air and everything is being put through. The men who are doing that are safe. Everything's okay.
And what's your opinion about vertical drilling from the top height of tunnel?
We're going to have a look. Let us go have a look. I can talk to you about that later.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressed a public rally in Rajasthan's Palias as the state goes to polls on the 25th of November. Let's listen in.
भारत माता की सत्तावन की क्रांति के समय अंग्रेजों से लोहा लेने वाले योद्धा कुशाल सिंह जी की धरती पर मैं आप सभी का और पूरे राजस्थान को आदरपूर्वक नमन करता हूं, अभिनंदन करता हूं। मैं मेरी बात शुरू करने से पहले आज आपका मैं विशेष रूप से धन्यवाद करना चाहता हूं। देखिए, ये हमारे ओम जी, हम ऐसे लोग हैं जो सालों से संगठन का काम करते थे। कंधे पर थैला लटका के बसों में जाना, पार्टी का काम करना और चुनाव प्रबंधन भी देखते थे। लेकिन कभी चुनाव में कोई हमें कहे कि आपको सभा मिलेगी, बड़े से बड़े नेता की मिलेगी, तो भी हम कहते हैं कि साहब हम तो सभा तो करेंगे, लेकिन सुबह 11 बजे मत दो, देना है तो 2 बजे, 3 बजे, 4 बजे दे दो। 11 बजे संगठन का काम करते समय भी मैं भी अरे भाई बड़ा मुश्किल हो जाता है, सुबह लोग निकलते नहीं है। लेकिन मैं देख रहा हूं ये पाली की ताकत, पाली के लोगों का प्यार, पाली के कार्यकर्ताओं की मेहनत। सुबह सुबह इतनी बड़ी जनता जनार्दन, एक प्रकार से जनसागर मैं देख रहा हूं। आप इतनी बड़ी तादाद में हम सबको आशीर्वाद देने के लिए आए हैं। मैं आप सबका हृदय से बहुत बहुत आभार व्यक्त करता हूं। मैं जो पीछे मैं देख रहा हूं, जितने लोग पंडाल में हैं उससे ज्यादा लोग धूप में तप रहे हैं। आपको जो असुविधा हुई है, हमारी ये जो व्यवस्था छोटी पड़ गई है, और आपकी असुविधा के लिए भाजपा के कार्यकर्ता के नाते मैं सबसे पहले आप सबकी क्षमा मांगता हूं। जो लोग ये ताप में तप रहे हैं और बड़े धैर्य के साथ सभा को सुन रहे हैं, जो ताप में तप रहे हैं, उनको मैं विश्वास दिलाना चाहता हूं कि ये ताप, ये आपकी तपस्या कभी भी बेकार नहीं जाने दूंगा। मैं विकास करके उसे लौटाऊंगा। आपके लिए कल्याण योजनाएं लेकर के आऊंगा और आपकी इस तपस्या का मैं प्यार से उसकी कीमत चुकाऊंगा, ये मैं आपको वादा करता हूं। भाइयों बहनों, ये पाली ऐसा है कि जो कभी पाला बदलता ही नहीं है। और पाली की दूसरी भी ताकत है। पाली वालों को मालूम नहीं है कि नहीं है, मुझे मालूम नहीं। हिंदुस्तान में कहीं भी जाइए और खास करके मेरे गुजरात में जाके देखिए, कोई जिला ऐसा नहीं मिलेगा जो पाली वाला वहां भाजपा का झंडा लेके खड़ा न हो। आप तमिलनाडु में जाके किसी को पूछोगे तो बोले पाली का हूं। वो यहां तो पाला बदलता नहीं है, लेकिन जहां जाता है वहां नई पारी भी खेल लेता है। ये ताकत है पाली की। और मेरे गुजरात में तो पाली और सिरोही से जो हवा आती है वो गुजरात को भी ताकत देती रहती है। और मैं आज बड़े बड़े विश्वास से दो बात कह रहा हूं। पाली का भाजपा का कार्यकर्ता और सोजत की मेहंदी का रंग ये कभी भी उतरते नहीं है। पाली के मेरे भाइयों बहनों, वाकई आज आपने दिल खुश कर दिया। मैं माताओं बहनों को विशेष प्रणाम करता हूं। माताओं बहनों को विशेष प्रणाम करता हूं क्योंकि राजस्थान में आमतौर पर माताएं बहनें इस प्रकार से बाहर कभी आती नहीं है। आज इतनी बड़ी तादाद में आई है। इतना ही नहीं, जब खाना पकाने का वक्त है तब वो राजस्थान का भविष्य बनाने के लिए आई हैं। और इसलिए खाना पकाना छोड़ करके राजस्थान का भाग्य बनाना, ये जब मेरी राजस्थान की माताएं बहनें करती है ना, तो राजस्थान का भविष्य उज्जवल है, ये निश्चित हो जाता है। माताओं बहनों को मेरा कोटि कोटि नमन। साथियों, मैं पिछले कुछ दिनों से राजस्थान में जहां जहां गया हूं, राजस्थान के लोगों को जहां जहां मिला हूं, एक स्वर से एक ही आवाज सुनाई दे रही है। हर कोई कह रहा है, जन जन की है यही पुकार, जन जन की है यही पुकार, जन जन की है यही पुकार। मेरे परिवारजनों, आज पूरा देश विकसित होने के लक्ष्य के लिए दिन रात मेहनत कर रहा है। भारत 21वीं सदी में जिस ऊंचाई पर होगा, उसमें राजस्थान की भूमिका बहुत बड़ी होगी, अवश्य होगी। और इसलिए राजस्थान में ऐसी सरकार जरूरी है जो राजस्थान के विकास को सर्वोच्च प्राथमिकता दे। दुर्भाग्य से पिछले 5 साल राजस्थान में जो कांग्रेस सरकार रही, उसने अपने लोगों को विकास में और पीछे धकेल दिया। यहां की कांग्रेस सरकार के लिए भ्रष्टाचार से बड़ा कुछ भी नहीं है। यहां की कांग्रेस के लिए परिवारवाद ही सब कुछ है। यहां की कांग्रेस सरकार तुष्टीकरण के अलावा कुछ नहीं सोचती। तुष्टीकरण की राजनीति का असर क्या होता है, इसको राजस्थान ने बीते 5 वर्षों में झेला है। कांग्रेस ने राजस्थान को दंगों में झोंक दिया। दंगों और आतंक की मानसिकता रखने वालों के हौसले बुलंद हो गए। सौहार्द की इस धरा पर ऐसी ऐसी घटनाएं हुई जिनके बारे में कभी कल्पना भी हम नहीं कर सकते थे। ऐसी विकृत मानसिकता वाली कांग्रेस को अच्छे से सबक सिखाना जरूरी है। सिखाओगे? सिर्फ पाली में ही सिखाओगे कि औरों को भी बताओगे? मेरे परिवारजनों, कांग्रेस और उसके घमंडिया गठबंधन की ये पहली हरकत नहीं है। सनातन को लेकर इन्होंने क्या क्या कहा है, ये पूरे देश ने देखा है। मेरी माताएं बहनों ने तो बहुत आक्रोश व्यक्त किया है। कांग्रेस और उसके साथी सनातन को खत्म करने का ऐलान कर रहे हैं, और सनातन को खत्म करने का मतलब है राजस्थान की संस्कृति को खत्म करना।
News 9 big coverage of 5 assembly polls. Mandate 2023.
Life begins at first breath. We take a breath every 5 to 6 seconds. A normal adult breathes 12 to 20 times per minute. That's approximately 23,000 breaths in a day. What if every breath you take